Well, hey y'all. Today is, I'm still convinced it's October, but it's still January. I keep doing this. January 23rd. It is Monday. How are you guys doing? Did you have a good weekend? I had it was an okay weekend. As you guys know, my bug had his big baseball tryouts. It did not go according to plan, unfortunately, but he's actually in really good spirits. He goes, look, I didn't do a good job, so I didn't deserve to be on the team. However, mom and dad, we completely disagreed. But he did better than several of the other kids that were trying out. But, it was a weird tryout situation. We've got questions that we want answers to. So, Dad's actually going to be taking the lead on that because it was some weird stuff that happened. Sports, unfortunately, especially that level, it's probably more political than what we do here in Austin or Washington, D.C. or anywhere else. So if you know somebody who is in sports at that level, just pray for them and their parents because they probably want to punch somebody or they probably paid way too much music. Why is there music playing? Hey. Simon, are there also little green men dancing around in your head? I don't hear any music. Simon, I want whatever coffee you're drinking, Simon. I don't hear any music. That's crazy. Anyway, I hope that you guys had I hope you did have a good weekend. It's been nice and cool. Hopefully you got to wear some of your sweaters and stuff. It was 44 degrees when I took Austin to school this morning. 44 degrees. People in South Texas are not okay, but also we're mildly excited that we get to wear all of our cold weather gear. All first thing in the morning. It's the second that sun comes out, it's awful. Anyway, I hope you guys did have a good weekend. We have a lot of fun stories that we are going to be talking about today. I want to lead off, though. This is kind of one of my fun things. As you guys know, George Santos is one of our favorite stories to talk about here on Texas Fully Loaded. And I had the opportunity, before I start there, I had the opportunity to be in bed, if you will, with Elise Stefanik a couple of times, and I didn't do what I needed to get towards them. One conference call that I had with her team was, well, you're just going to have to get on board with Kevin McCarthy, and until you do, nobody's going to pick you up, and X, Y, and Z, and you know what? I don't know. I hope things aren't changing for the worse here. And so I did not, and I was proud that I didn't. And now, Elise Stefanik, she made terrible endorsements anyway. Oh, God. I apologize, America. She made terrible endorsements, including...
Hello, America. Do not adjust your TV sets. That is correct. You have the Bacon Master, and I have taken over the stream. If you have Miss Sandra Whitten in your dream, well, so be it. Go back to bed. Hello, Sandra. How are you doing, young lady?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. What in the world was that?
Well,
Look, somebody else was hearing music too. I didn't hear any music until you put it on.
That's right. I would like to let people know today is going to be safe and it's going to be all right because that's right. I have my new flavor. This is my new flavor. This is Screwball Coffee. That's right, folks. Screwball, duct tape, and a mouse. Monday is a fun day now, folks. However, the meat will come later. How are you doing, Sandra? I couldn't help but have you mentioning our good friend, Mr. Dear George Santos, and his famous, fabulous Elise Stefanik, as she came to Texas and made sure that Georgie Porgy, Orgy Pie, the drag queen man, had some stones in his eye, but go right ahead.
In fairness, we don't know for a fact that he was doing the drag queen stuff. It was, I think that I've seen more convincing pictures.
He admitted
of
to it.
Watch.
He admitted to it. You obviously did not see the airport interview with ABC News where he finally admitted to it. Yeah. That was me. Republican. That's right.
I missed that one. That's unfortunate. That is so unfortunate that I missed that. I'm going to have to go and find it on a commercial break now. Anyway, so Elise Stefanik had gone on and on and on about her very dear friend, George Santos, and how he's going to be a huge asset in Congress, and New York's better for having him, and all this other stuff. What are you doing? And
hey, Squirrel, come on, stick with it.
Anyways, it says the guy who's changing the background. So she came back and now she's getting filleted for having endorsed him and using her name to raise money for him in personal settings and in public settings. I think that this is fantastic. She has a history of picking the wrong candidates, it looks like.
Beyond that, I mean, you saw it in your race, and we met George. Now I'm going to have to give it to George, because throughout this whole ordeal of being a liar from New York and from Queens, I mean, a drag queen from Queens, you just can't make that up. And then it's the Republicans. Well, actually, there's a leftist propagandist on YouTube. His name is Brian Tyler Cohen. I follow him, so I know what they're saying. But I will tell you this: while he was coming through the airport, he did admit that was him. And listen. I've seen the videos. I'm like, dude, I didn't realize he was, because when we met him, he was kind of chunky, And I'm like, dude, man, he was actually pretty fit. But then again, the outfit he was wearing, I was like, whoa, how did the slopper not fall out of that thing?
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, hold on. There's late breaking drag queen information for him within the last hour. Hold on a second.
Well, and keep this in mind. So while he was not, hang on, and this is a serious note. While he was not demonizing being queer, he's being accused by the left of the Republican whatever. Bottom line is, he is advocating for not sexualizing our children. That's number one thing. That's a huge difference. It's clear to be queer. We have friends that flop to both sides of the wiener, but at the same time, I don't know what to call it. But at the same time, though, it's about the children. It's about the school books. That's where you're finding all the drag queen story hour stuff becoming an issue whenever it's brought into the public schools. The left doesn't want to say that. They just want to say, oh, they're anti-LGBTQ, then they're using LGBTQ, whatever. I mean, it is what it is for this guy. He didn't just lie about being gay. I mean, he lied about his job. He lied about his background. He paid his campaign back the $700,000 that he loaned himself after only having a job that maxed out at $50,000 a year. I mean, numbers don't add up. So how is this guy going to be on a budget committee if he can squeeze $700,000 out of $50,000 a year? Well, wait a minute, hang on. We actually want people that can squeeze $700,000 out of $50,000 a year.
Well, you know what? If I was in the homosexual community, the LGBTQ community, or whatever you call yourself, I would be more angry about the fact that he lied about his resume than anything else, and the fact that he was demoralizing the Holocaust surviving families, that he was doing all of these other things, and he's not showing any remorse for it. The people that I know in that community, whether they're conservatives or not, they don't do stuff like that. Like they try to be, because they're all about being true to yourself. And all he's done is just done everything except for be true to himself and everybody else around him. And so I'm kind of a little bit upset. And you know what? The log cabin Republicans especially should be going after this fraud, and anybody who supported him and is not denouncing him, because I'm sorry, this is a slap in the face to those who are truly in the log cabin community, that are trying to be conservative. Shut up, Walter. That are trying to I hate you so much sometimes. That are sincere. Yes, they love somebody of the same gender. They're adults. They can do what they want to, but they still believe in the Republican Party platform. They still believe in lower taxes. They still believe in fiscal responsible government. They still believe in the Constitution. They still believe in all of these things. Simon wants a shot. Walter and I are fighting for control over here. But seriously, I mean, if you really stop and think about it, if we truly believe that we don't want to identify, we're not trying to identify anybody as anything. Like, this is where I'm a bit libertarian, I guess, because I don't want to be addressed as a white woman. I don't want my kids to be addressed as Hispanic people. I want to be addressed as American. The people that are supposedly in the same life, that are in the log cabin community, they shut up, Walter. They also be addressed as Americans, not as their sexual preference. I'm done with this.
Put it back in the bottle. Put it back in the bottle. It won't fit. Oh my gosh.
I know you're trying to be serious.
Yeah. And you know what? Sandra, you're so late. Oh, good Lord. Listen. No. You're exactly correct. But this just shows the average, and get rid of the Democrats on this one. This just shows the Republican Party, everybody, that you got lied to in your primaries. This is why primaries are important. And we can go, when we go from the national lie to the state lie, I would love to be able to read exactly what the state, I don't want to call it a state lie yet, but we have right now, as of last week, we have some of our, let me make sure I've got the dates right on this one. As of last week, we've got some of our folks on the border that are requesting help because apparently Operation Lone Star, I guess, is not promising what it was supposed to deliver.
Now, Walter, I have a hard time believing that one of the government, not just the government, but the governor's programs is not fulfilling their promises.
He was a great fundraiser. You were there at the, you didn't get to go to the ball with me, of course. Rachel took me to the ball.
I'm not one of the pretty people like you.
I know, and I wasn't wearing glass cowboy boots, but I could have been accused because my calves are to die for. Thank you. Hey, Charlotte. Sandra has muted herself. She is giving Charlotte the recipe for the tri-tip enchiladas that she is going to have to make for herself because her mom is such a white girl, she can't cook Hispanic food.
I can't make the Hispanic food. No, we're having a chips argument. She thinks that when I get on the air, that means she gets whatever she wants, so that she won't bug me during the show when her dad and her big brother are in the other room. Now,
man, the only adult in the room. Time for popcorn.
She just made me shorter now.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, we're finding out that the George Santos lie, and this is hysterical because he is surrounded by your former consultant, the one we had to fire because he wasn't producing, and the one that was telling you that you needed to lie.
Well, and here's the other side. So it wasn't just him. It was also Ken Buck's former chief of staff, who then became Elise Stefanik's chief of staff. They're all wrapped up in the middle of this also. They're also the exact same people who told me that I needed to go along to get along so that I could get up there and make a difference. Because look at the difference that George and Elise are making right now.
The laughing stock, and what's even funnier was Elise Stefanik gave the opening speech for Kevin McCarthy's nomination, and then quickly got beat down. So she's taken on some ranking, whatever. But I think it woke up the Texans that gave them millions upon millions of dollars to the RNC. The three screen Latinas went all over the country raising money in other cities. And did Texas see any of that? No, they didn't. We literally could have had an Adam Hinojosa for our state Senate down in 27 to take Lucio back. But now the fact that you still have a stronger Democrat household down there, it's going to make 2024 much harder, so much harder. you saw where the Republicans flipped over and they went for people like Henry Cuellar because, hey, it's a devil we know, as opposed to what in the hell did Republicans just give us? Talk about lipstick on a pig. They had to change a girl's last name and she didn't even speak Spanish. Well, and on top of that, she used to be married to a campaign consultant who everybody loves down there. But I mean, whenever you're a campaign consultant working for a U.S. senator that worked for a governor's race, that worked for this race, that worked for that race, and she was very sweet, it was obvious that whenever Fox News was creating those lives down there, whenever they put her on, they were literally just talking to Republicans. Whenever a Republican running in a general election refuses to talk to the Democrat base, then you're only sitting in your own echo chamber. The Republicans physically went over and voted for the Democrat. And the reason why was because they were tired of being lied to. These are new Republicans that were brought in. And it's the RNC saying, hey, we're full of caca, but please, I mean, just paint it and it's going to look like something else. That's bottom line, and that's why they got the ranavirus. She's still running for the vote whenever the state of Texas SREC voted and said, hey, we want our people to go to the RNC and to kick Rana out and we got to get rid of the same. All we are getting is everything the same. The same failures that we got from Reince Priebus is what we're having from the ranavirus right now.
Well, I mean, this is what it all boils down to. You don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to have your own game plan. You don't have to have any of those things. As long as you promise to go along to get along and stand there and look pretty and say exactly what they want you to say, that's all you have to do to run for Congress. Don't think that you need to be able to think for yourself. Don't think that you need to do the will of the people. Don't think any of that, because all of that is complete crap. None of that matters. Not a bit of it. This thing that we claim that we love in Washington, D.C. and all 50 states, that's horse crap. It's not necessary. You just have to do the will of the cabal. That's it. And it doesn't matter. Screw we the people. So the sad part is, this is actually sad, funny, but sad. I had several candidates that said, before I ran for Congress or before I ran for this office or before I ran for that office, I never read the Constitution. And I'm half a century old. I've enlisted. How many times have I enlisted? I've enlisted 3 different times. I have re-enlisted. I have I've sworn as a peace officer, a firefighter. Heck, somebody threw me up there as a medic on an ambulance, gonna defend the Constitution. I'm like, well, they don't even allow us to have guns. How am I going to do that? Throw an oxygen tank at them? But at the same time, all these ceremonies where people raise their hands. Hey, I became a precinct chair. I'm going to fight for the Constitution. And the first thing they do is throw out the BS of the we got to get along, or we got to go with the candidate that's got the most amount of money. Never mind the fact. And then on top of that, they play the games of, we had a lot of people in Wesley Hunt's race. We had a lot of people that were kept out of that. Let me see. I'm gonna throw this one up here. Ross Houston, Ross Huston. Left and right eye. Why raise money for them kids? Actually, my coffee is approved. That's just a bottle. You have to go back to 2020 to know what the bottle means. But it's actually real coffee. There is no whiskey in that thing, by the way. Totally a prop. However, look at the shenanigans that he is talking about, the demonic stuff in drag, all this kind of stuff that's going on. We physically need to get back to where the platform of the party. What has the Democrat Party come out with? Their platform is garbage. Their platform is demonic. What has the Republican Party platform brought out? It's Christian, it's God-based, but they got to stop beating religion over everybody. You got to stop demonizing whenever, you have to go to be a log cabin Republican. No, you don't. You can be a regular Republican. The log cabin Republican Party is not on anyone's ballot. The Democrat Communist Socialist Party is not on anyone's ballot. However, in the state of Texas, where to be a Democrat Socialist, it is against communist, it is against the law. No one's enforcing that law. And it was created by the Democrats themselves back in the 90s. Go figure. Well, here's the thing. So the new Republicans who are trying to take over the party, like your Cat Parks and your Pena Garzas and all of these people who
Did you say Penis Garza?
No, but that is
Aaron.
funny.
Aaron, I'm sorry. Aaron was the one who was. You know what? I went to the inaugural ball, and what is one of the most fun things that I say to as an icebreaker to people when I first meet them?
Are you staying out of trouble?
So immediately we're out there on the dance floor. I'm taking selfies with everybody. And I said, hey, man, are you staying out of trouble? And it was automatically, don't believe that BS, man. It's all lies. It's all lies.
Literally, I've seen you say that's 90-year-old women.
Yes. And what do they normally say back? Not on your life, honey. Exactly. And the fact that I totally forgot about the hoopla. Then I had to go back and ask, and I'm like, holy crap, there goes more of it right there. On one of Myra Flores' own staffers, somebody that worked for the RNC. He worked for the general land office for the Texas land commissioner in the general land office. These are, we have to go with the people that are popular in their areas because they bring people in. And the problem with that is none of the new blood filters in. That's why all the old BS stays, because we never cycle out the old BS.
But no. So here's the deal, though. So the problem that we're seeing, though, is that when you have your Cat Parks, when you have your Peñas, when you have your Garzas, when you have all these people who want to bring these woke Republicans who had been Democrats and then came back as or now crossing over to Republican, they're bringing their woke ideology with them. Now, I'm not saying that they're bringing their drag queen story hour with them, but what I am saying is they're saying, we have to be more inclusive. We have to do more of this. They want to have the big tent politics, which means that you include everybody and you don't single anybody out. I'm with you. I hear you. I don't care how you personally identify, as long as you are going to stand for the Constitution, as long as you're going to hold people accountable and you're going to do the right thing for your government. That's what I care about. This is why I say I'm a little bit more libertarian than most in this aspect. But the problem is that they don't, like, if it was up to me, I would honest to God, I'd probably get rid of all of these, like I would stop making coalitions within the Republican Party. That's where we're having big problems. So the TFRWs on their own, they do great things. But the second that they say, we have to be a coalition of the Republican Party of Texas. No, you don't. You can just be TFRW. When the YRs did the same thing, we have to be a coalition of the Republican Party of Texas. No, you don't. You can be your own thing. Now we have the Log Cabin Republicans who do the same thing. Then we have this party that does the same thing. And then we have this group. No, if we truly believe in big tent politics, where everyone should be allowed into the circus, why does everybody need their own ring?
So, and then they get, so the identity politics was another thing. That was comical for me to watch, because the biggest thing was we have to get Wesley Hunt in Harris County. He's the first Republican Black congressman, but yet we could not handle helping somebody like a Gary Monroe. Someone who actually physically goes, who's from the hood, who goes and fights. So we picked Carlton. We picked Carlton. Wesley Hunt is Carlton in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He is a rich kid, grew up in the rich part of town. He has no clue what it's like to be thug or gangster. As a matter of fact, in those stupid videos that Dan Crenshaw put together, he's up there, he's trying to act like he's freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, dude, you cannot identify as Black even though your skin color is Black, because he's never lived in the culture. And we physically have people in Third Ward that are like, we're tired of Sheila Jackson Lee. Tired. But yet what does Kevin McCarthy do? He comes down and makes a deal with Sheila Jackson Lee. He comes down, he literally comes down and just craps all over what the Republican Party of Harris County is doing. They fall in line because, they're political slaves. And so now we have a Black guy who is a Republican who came over, who is a true walkaway. As a matter of fact, the cool part about it is Blexit has finally been taken over by physical Black people. So actual Black Texans are in charge of Blexit now. It's no longer fake Hispanics or real Hispanics that are faking as Blacks, although the booty looks the same. It literally is some good activists in Texas. And they're saying, well, we're Black activists, Some of them have been around since 2016. Some of them are not legally allowed to vote yet because of the fact they're not old enough. So now we have some young culture coming in that can actually get into the culture. And when I say the culture, I'm talking about of Houston, because Houston is run by a white monarchy of the Republican family that works with the Dick Weekleys and the Democrats of the world. It's this uniparty in Houston and Harris County, and that's why we're getting what we're getting. That's why you saw Alex Mueller get stomped by a very small margin in a very fraudulent election that should show some things. And they literally get to hide and defend themselves on the fact of, oh, we're inexperienced at this and we just had a lot of mistakes. When it comes to the democracy within a constitutional republic, there are no mistakes. Because when you screw up as bad as you screw up, that's whenever you start heading into a civil war, which came out in Venezuela, it came out in Cuba, it came out in Afghanistan, it came out in Iraq. This is what is going on across the world right now, and these idiots are bringing this home to roost with us.
Well, I mean, that seems like it's the easiest thing to do. We can't see the links that somebody's putting up here, so I'm gonna check on that really quick here before we start throwing it up on the big screen, Walter.
Well, hang on a second. Really sure. Yeah, go do your thing.
No, I was trying to figure out which one he's watching on so I can see it. Anyway,
this is funny. I can't believe I'm doing this. So I now have two computers, and I'm on this one trying to get on, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I can't. I'm not multitasking. What's that?
So you're just over here trying to be cool?
Are you kidding me? Now I finally have something up that I can get my information off of other than another cell phone.
First of all, I usually use my other Windows screen here.
Yeah, I'm not that smart yet. You know me.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
Hey man, I went to HISD for my education, so let me tell you a little story there. That what in the actual I even mixed up and went to the wrong one.
Actually, this might be something we put up.
Yeah. No, I follow Ross. Ross is going to be he's going to be one that makes us think and holds you accountable. He's I've been looking at a lot of his stuff here lately. And so that's why it's important to hold everyone around you accountable, because man.
Oh, this man. We'll have some fun with that later.
Well,
it's talking about
once I have to get into I have to do a secret mission. And so once I get down into I have to convert cars, y'all can play it there, and then we'll convert our conversation in the while I'm in the Mini Cooper heading into Dogtown.
David Orlando, Orlando. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. He brings up an excellent point, and this is the problem: is that we allow this to continue because instead of putting the full, here's the deal: if we actually put the full weight of the grassroots behind an actual grassroots candidate, we would actually win. And here's why I say that, because here's what happened in Bexar County. Here's what happened in Harris County. Here's what happened everywhere. Here's what happened everywhere else.
Montgomery County.
Simon, here's what happened when this stuff happens is that we have what happened in Bexar County with me is everyone's like, oh gosh, Sandra, we love you so much, but Cassie's got Kevin McCarthy's support. Okay, but we're the grassroots and we don't want Kevin McCarthy's support. I know. But it's going to be hard to beat Kevin McCarthy. Not if the grassroots actually supported the grassroots. Why are we bending down to the Kevin McCarthys of the world when we don't agree with the Kevin McCarthys of the world? It does not make any sense.
So here's the best part. 5, not 20, 5 America First candidates stood strong. One of them, a Navy SEAL, all the way to the end. And he did not get on the stage. He did not get beat down. Eli Crane did not get beat down by the Dan Crenshaws, by the Wesley Hunts. And whenever Morgan Luttrell finally woke up, he didn't get beat down by him either.
Morgan Luttrell is there to do what he's told to do.
Uh-huh. Well, exactly. I mean, follow orders.
Sorry.
Follow orders. So here's the cool part of it. You have those 5, which just prove to the grassroots, doesn't matter if you're getting crapped on. It doesn't matter that 8,000 of you people voted on stuff by 80, 90% in a state convention, which happens to be sanctioned by the Texas Health and Safety Code, or by the Texas Election Code, I'm sorry. So it was lawful to have a Republican Party convention that is held in a democratic manner under our Constitution. What did the Democrats do? They shut their convention down and said, it went a little long, guys. We'll finish it off for you and we'll send you the results. Literally, that's what they did. Yeah. And now you can't talk bad about Kevin McCarthy right now, because what did he do? He took away the proxy voting. You have to be in person. Why in the hell are we not repealing half the crap the Democrats did back last couple sessions, that they were proxy voting? Oh, we COVID this, COVID that. What are we finding out? Where's Dr. Fauci? How come he's not wearing his COVID T-shirt, walking around the nation saying, "Hey, COVID, I'm the one who saved all your lives"? That dude's in hiding right now because he's afraid of what's coming at kill him.
Here's my deal with Kevin McCarthy. I will not praise him until at a minimum year 2. And here's why. Because right now he's the one who's like, look, see, I promised that I was going to do these things. Do you see, I'm doing them. See, this is my list of the things that I promised I was going to do so that I could become Speaker of the House. See, I did them.
Yep. So actually, you know what? Simon is right. We need to. Yeah, Rachel's correct. You can't be retroactive. What the heck? Can you hear an echo?
Yes.
Because my iPhone just randomly came on. It's been over there lock screen, ready for me to get the heck out of Dodge. Hello, folks. That's right. It is the NSA.
Are you sure that's what it was? Because I've heard an echo a couple of times because you don't have headphones in. Maybe.
CFPR. No.
Stop it. You know I hate that crap. Okay.
I'm physically sitting in one part of my casa.
I know.
Over there, 20 feet away.
I'm seeing that.
My dog right now is going, "Where you at, Dad? Where you at, Dad? Where you at, Dad?" Poor Polly. And then Crusoe's over there wagging his tail like, ooh, they can even hear the breath. That's weird. So exactly. Run, Walter, run. Well, actually, you know what's going to happen? I think I'm going to have to run.
That's funny. You do have to run because you were supposed to, you wouldn't stop talking and I got
I have a table with my Houston ladies, and we are going to be discussing issues and problems upon the border that are still abounding.
Walter has a whole repertoire, Rachel. We would all die. That's been discussed, but I think you're right. Physically is a good one also. It used to be literally.
War and peace. Hang on a second. War and peace. Chew on this right here, folks. And I am out. I will rejoin you from my secret agent card.
I'm going to digest what War and Peace said, and then we're going to have a commercial break. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. How's that sound?
Secret Cajun man. Oh, wait a second.
Go away. Okay, so wait, where'd it go? Okay, I got scared. I told Walter to go and my screen went away. Okay, so War and Peace said the thing with the grassroots is they are not representative of modern Republican Party. They are representative of true republicanism people call most modern Republican rhinos. In truth, the grassroots are the rhinos. The party shifted and is overran with progressives. That's some food for thought. We're going to take a quick commercial break, guys. We'll be right. The heck fire's back. It's still the old commercial. I'm sorry. I promise today I will change it. We are back. A huge, amazing thank you to our awesome sponsors. I hope nobody had a freak out moment. I did not get eaten by space aliens, Simon. I know that you always get concerned when the commercial goes twice, but because I haven't fixed the commercial yet, it's only 1 minute and 15 seconds. And in order to get a new cup of coffee, I need 2.5 minutes. So do you see what I did there? So I just had to play it twice. So I promise we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. I promise. Okay. A huge thank you to our amazing sponsors, of course, the Montgomery County Tea Party. 10 years of excellence, not just in Montgomery County, but of course across the entire galaxy, because you're holding people accountable, and that's what we like to see. Thank you for what you do, and also for being allowing us to host your meetings on the first and third Mondays of the month. You can come to Montgomery County's Facebook page. You can come to the Texas Fully Loaded YouTube page now, because that is up and running now. We're actually on it as we speak. Well, no, I'm kidding. Walter lied to me. It's still on Bacon Nation only. I'll fix that too, because it is now there. It's just maybe not connected. Anyway, and then you can see what's happening in Montgomery County Tea Party if you can't be there in person. But of course, we'd love to see your smiling face. If you can be there, be there. Don't be square. Skyline Companies, of course, our dear friend Justin. We truly appreciate you, all of the hard work that you do. In the trucking industry, you're revolutionizing things, whether it's diesel mechanic work or it's logistics or anything in between. Or if you just want to sit down and have an actual conversation about what in the heck is happening with our ports, Justin's the man to talk to. He can sit down and break it down for you. And I still reel a little bit about some of the stuff that he tells me, because you think you know something until you realize that our ports are actually run like a Russian mafia. It's kind of weird, but also it's actually happening. So you definitely get with Justin. He's not just the man with a plan when it comes to logistics or diesel mechanic work. He's also the man with the plan for patriotism. So get with him, because you want a true patriot fighter in your corner. Of course, our dear friend Greg Parker's book, you can get them, all three of them, on Amazon.com. Type in it Gregory E. Parker. You can find his books. Definitely want to get them. I know what you're thinking, Sandra. It's too early to start thinking about Valentine's Day. But can you imagine? Look, get this book for your gal or your girl. Get them a nice glass of red wine, some chocolates, some beef jerky, whatever it works out, and a book. That's what everybody wants. Make sure you do it. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. If you're interested, we have some new commercials that might be coming up. I'm super excited, but I am going to go ahead and tweak our commercial, because we've seen this November one for like ever now. So enough is enough. So I'll work on that this afternoon. If you're interested in becoming a commercial sponsor for Texas Fully Loaded, please, please, please reach out to us, because we can't do what we do without you. Whether you're a viewer or whether you're a financial supporter, we thank you, because we couldn't be here without you. If you would like to give privately without it being a commercial, you can also do that, because it literally helps us keep the wheels going. It helps us to be able to be in Austin. It helps us to be able to be in different parts of the state, to bring you the latest and the greatest. We've got some really fun stuff that we've got coming up with sheriffs and all sorts of stuff. So anything that you can do to help further our cause, we truly appreciate you. Go to TexasFullyLoaded.com, click on hashtag We the People Work. You can give us a check, you can give us cash, whatever works best for you. We truly appreciate you. If you want to give us an RV, your precious Van Go, we can turn around and convert that for cash. Whatever it is, we're here for you. We appreciate you. Of course, thank you to our host station, TECN.TV, and the supporting shows around Texas Fully Loaded, but Pastor Young, Randy Purnham. I believe Carmen's show is supposed to be starting sometime this month in the evening. So we thank you guys. Make sure that you're supporting all the shows and watching them, because, I mean, this has got to be the most well-informed channel on the planet. So thank you, TECN.TV, for what you do and for who you are. We appreciate you. And for putting up with this big ball of crazy. All right, now I wanted to go back. Warren had some fun stuff here. He's right. He was spot on. I think this is why I always say I'm a little bit more libertarian than I am Republican these days, because I think that the original thought of the Republican Party was to be what we now consider a little bit more libertarian, because we weren't for all of these regulations. We weren't for all of this oversight. We weren't for all of this ridiculous political, like, mamby-pamby, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. We weren't for any of this stuff. That's not who we were. Then we said, you know what? Maybe it is. I mean, look at how rich those Democrats are getting, and we're not getting any part of that. And I digress. And now maybe we are the rhinos, but that doesn't feel right, because I'm a rhino hunter. Because look, here's the deal. We are representing what the original platform was. these new Republicans, or these Republicans who have been in office for 900 years, looking at you, John Cornyn, they have taken on the mentality of the Democrats, and so they don't want to go anywhere. And so the best thing that they could do was flesh out the people who truly believed in our platform. I can promise you, John Cornyn does not have a copy, not just a copy, but also earmarked of the Republican Party platform. He does not have, he doesn't have all of these things. He wouldn't know what the Republican Party platform was if it slapped him across his face. And you know how I know that? Because when he went to the Republican Party convention, he called us all a bunch of, what did he call us? He called us a mob. He called us a mob who only reads Twitter. Well, first of all, John Cornyn, I hate Twitter. P.S. Thank you for those of you who are watching us on Twitter today. But it's just not who we are. Okay. Only suitable for more people. Let me see what this says here. I asked Mark Alford to nominate the younger Donald J. Trump Jr. for Speaker. So if someone else did. Here, what are my thoughts on this? He tossed the J6, the former president, under the bus. So why did he back him for Speaker? This is something that I actually talk about quite a bit. This is actually when I started losing respect for Donald Trump, when he started support immediately after Kevin. I need you guys to roll back into the wheels of time for just a second. Go back to 2021, and after Kevin McCarthy threw Donald Trump under the bus, after he was agreeing with all the Democrats, with Nancy Pelosi, with Schumer, and everybody else saying, "Oh, you know what? Donald Trump did call for this violence here. Everything that happened before you the last several days, this is all that evil man's fault," because everyone knows that Kevin McCarthy never cared for Donald Trump. He only used Donald Trump to fundraise off of. Every single one of those jackwagons only used Donald Trump to fundraise off of him. Now, I've said I've said it loud and long, that Donald Trump has a bad habit of surrounding himself with the wrong people. This was the most blatant slap in the face to the grassroots when he got involved with Kevin McCarthy and believed anything that Kevin McCarthy had to say. I think it was a terrible decision. I don't believe in anything that Kevin McCarthy is going to do is going to be for the right reasons. I think it's only going to be to save his own skin, and that there will be a backdoor to every single bit of it. I don't think that he's going to do the right thing by the J6ers. I think he's going to do the right thing to save his skin right now, not long term. I think we might have some. I think we might have to add some bacon to the conversation.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
We can. My goodness, you cleaned up nicely.
Well, so good deal. Yeah, these new adapters I bought for this iPhone just ain't working. So anyway. Yep.
Warren said if the grassroots and the libertarians could come together, they could make a huge political wave. See, this is exactly it. But do you want to know the BS that the naysayers on all sides of the party are going to say? We can't take away votes from the House, though. If we tried to create our own political party, we're just going to take away. We're not going to bring over any Democrats. Really? If that was the case, how come we have Democrats who are leaving their party left and right? Joe Manchin is now seriously considering it. There was another one I think I saw too. As of Sunday, he said that he hasn't made any clear decisions on what he's going to do for 2024. He's got 2 years ahead of him to think about what he's going to do, but everything is on the table. Joe Manchin, I think, is one that we thought for a long time that was going to flip, especially with everything that was happening with Trump while Trump was in office. He was he was a strong supporter of Trump in office. So I think that you're absolutely right. If the grassroots and the libertarians, but see, here's the deal, is we have to get the libertarians out to vote. The libertarians sit at home because the libertarian candidate is not on the ballot. And so they're like, well, my voice doesn't count because I don't have a candidate, so I'm not going to vote. I said it. Tell me that I'm wrong. Because if I was wrong, We wouldn't have near as many rhinos making it through the primaries.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
So, well, because see, here's so if you wanted to run as a libertarian in the state of Texas, I can only speak to Texas politics on this one. If you wanted to run as a libertarian or as an independent in the state of Texas, you don't have a primary. You do not have a primary. You just cannot vote in the primary. You cannot vote in the primary. And I think you only have to find 1,000 people or something like that to not vote in the primary. Super simple. Super simple. Because most of the people who should be voting in the primary aren't voting in the primary anyway. So then you take those people, and that's how you get on the ballot. Now, the other 240,000 people who should be voting in your congressional district. I'm speaking congressional district politics right this second. They should be voting for the grassroots candidate. That's how this would work. This is how we would fix this. I have never been a fan of this two-tier system. I think it's awful. When I was in college and I was trying to become a political consultant because I thought that was the way you had to change things. Guess what? It's not, because they're awful people. I was constantly fighting the system at Liberty, going, "You want to know why we're losing? It's because this text has not been updated in 60 years." We're getting our butts handed to us by the Democrats because we refuse to realize that this is not your great-grandpa's Republican Party anymore. I'm trying not to get on a soapbox here, Walter, but the people demand it. I know that we had things that we were going to talk about, but the people are demanding this.
So, no, totally there. And just so you know, I cannot read the comments or anything.
Well, of course you can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hey, listen, so we're repeating 2020 all over again. Do you know how?
Tell me.
Antifa, Atlanta. Holy crap. Who didn't see that coming?
Well, you know what? Hold on. Nora, I'm going to come back to that comment because that's good stuff. Hold on. I learned about the power of the starring it. Here's the fun part with this is that, so what happened in Atlanta, this is exciting. If you don't know what happened in Atlanta over the weekend, there was
last week.
Okay. There was a protest because some hold on. How do you say his name? Give me just a second.
Hang on. So there has been an autonomous zone created in Atlanta months ago that is much like the Chaz in Seattle, Washington, is much like Portland, Oregon, is much like those areas of autonomy in Minneapolis and Los Angeles, in San Antonio, in Austin, in Dallas, and Houston. Although those areas are more homelessness in the Texas region, but when you look at Los Angeles, when you look at Seattle, and when you look at Minneapolis and Portland, these areas have been inundated with homelessness / Antifa mixed in. Now, they're not calling themselves Antifa while they're there, but they are calling them defenders of the forest. Did you hear that?
Yeah. I've got some video of some of this happening while you're talking, Walter. Keep going.
Okay, well, so it's a little distracting. I apologize. I'm driving and trying not to watch. But so what's going on in Atlanta is the police moved in to a forested area, a park, which will be repurposed for a police headquarters / training facility. They're calling it Cop City, or I think they're calling it Cop City.
Yeah, Cop City.
The left is calling it Cop City. So now the same people that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were bailing out of jail, that Act Blue was bailing out of jail, that the Democrats were bailing out of jail, the same people are now uprising in Atlanta. So if you noticed, all of the political points of contention where we've had, because I'm waiting for this to come to Houston, where we've had the false ballots, where we've had the elections that went unsecure. 2020, had they investigated the Georgia election then, than whenever Mike Pence was asked to deliver for the constitutionally for the American people and send it back to Atlanta, to Georgia, we might have gotten a different outcome from their votes. I'm not saying change the president, but I'm saying they would have lost the Electoral College votes because the truth would have come out before Mike Pence bent over and took it up the butt from the left. But at the same time, you now have a police officer who was shot by a peaceful protester when the SWAT team came in because they were clearing these vagrants out that happened to be a bunch of sniveling rich kids from the Upper East Coast, from the West Coast. Antifa, it's nothing but white and Hispanic kids. So this Tortuga kid, the turtle, is being accused of shooting at the police. The police, what do? They got more rounds. They shoot back in mass force. Pop, 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 the kid is dead. So now, on government-sponsored TV, the Biden administration is currently funding through NPR the leftist propaganda that the police are bad and they're here to kill us. And what they don't realize is Antifa doesn't give a crap about the Republicans. They don't give a crap about the Democrats, even though the Democrats are giving them money. They want anarchy. And this is what's going on across the world. The homelessness in Kabul, Afghanistan, Europe, our buddy over there in Austria, he's talking about it. They got 10 cities popping up everywhere. You know, when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan and our 13 Marines got killed, do people realize the Taliban, by gunpoint, is picking people up off of the street, forcing them into detox? It's called detox by, but anyway, they're putting them in solitary confinement for 45 days. No chemicals. They don't even have food to feed these guys. So these are our former enemies, and in some cases our former other things. The women are not allowed to work. They're not allowed to do anything. There is no form of help, and the Taliban is now making sure that they're doing detox. They're detoxing people from drugs, and you're seeing people are dying. They're not just starving, but they're also having the chemical imbalance and reactions. They're having heart attacks, strokes, you name it, they got it. They're getting rid of the weak ones. So they're creating the new Taliban. This is what's going on in Portland, Oregon with the homelessness. This is what's going on in Austin, Texas with the homelessness. This is what's going on in Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia. It's happening in Florida. The migrants that are coming in, the illegal aliens that are being paid for by our federal government through the Biden administration's illegal cartel operations of human trafficking or the rape and labor slave trade. They're physically getting these children. They're going to be registering these people to vote. They're already, our tax dollars are paying for the vagrants that are coming to our country. In the other countries, they are not pimping out their country's best. They're emptying their jails. This is Castro in the 70s all over again.
Well, I do want to say that Georgia is not taking this lying down. And just for clarification, they're calling it the Stop Cop City, is what Antifa is calling it. 5 of the 6 people that were arrested came out of state to cause the mayhem. One of the arrested is Francis Carroll. He was out on bail for domestic terrorism and is the son of a wealthy man family, according to an investigative reporter, Andy Nago. They are also saying that they are 100% going to throw the books at them. Georgia said, we're not going to play into this nonsense that the political narrative that's going on. So I'm excited. I think that Georgia specifically is actually going to do something about this because they're sick of this crap also. Really quick, I do want to say, Warren said, so basically you're saying libertarian voters are just as useless as the everyday Republican voter. No, because they're not getting out and voting. That's the problem. We have so many of them that are claiming that they're libertarians, but then they say, I'm not voting because my candidate's not on the ballot, or none of the candidates match my values, so I'm just not voting. If the libertarians would actually get up and vote, we could have a huge change in the whole entire demographic. If more people would get out and vote, the Republican and Democrat system would get flipped upside down. period. So I wanted to come back on that really quick.
Can you imagine if we had a liberty-minded candidate that would have beat John Cornyn in 2020? I don't know who they could have put up. I literally don't know who we could have put up in 2020 against John Cornyn. I mean, I see people like Dwayne Stovall who actually physically believe in liberty.
Crazy concept. Crazy. There's a lot of really good comments that were just flooding in here. I'm actually having a hard time keeping up with all the good comments that were on here. You know, I'll imagine. Simon said, "Imagine Sandra and Walter decided to leave the U.S. and have to follow them to Greenland." You told him, Walter? Greenland. Didn't know we decided.
Have you seen those ice caves they've got? The glamping they with the igloos and stuff? I love Greenland. I've been there several times as a soldier. I'm ready to go back as a civilian now.
All right, let's do it. A person who does not vote hold on. Warren says a person who doesn't vote is far less dangerous than an uneducated voter. Mass numbers of uneducated voters are what keep giving us the same garbage over and over again. I agree, but if the libertarian who is the educated voter would actually, or who is educated, would go and vote. This is why primaries are the most important vote.
Stop demonizing the libertarians, Sandra.
No, I'm with. I wish they would come out and use their voice.
Do you know how many Democrats voters could have come over with the Republican Party had the Republicans not created the fraud that they created with their candidates?
Yes, but if the libertarians who don't have to vote in a primary would come and vote for the grassroots candidates in the primaries because they see them, they know who they are, because they're following this stuff. Libertarians probably follow this stuff far greater than most Republicans, including most grassroots Republicans. I have had conversations, and you have also, Walter, with more libertarians who know what's actually going on both sides of the parties, on all parties, because they're paying attention. And then they go, I'm not going out and voting for any of this BS. And they won't vote as a Republican in the grassroots primary because they don't want to be identified as a Republican because they're so committed to being a libertarian. I feel you. I do. I 100% do. But if we don't stop this, you have the power in Texas, since we don't have a closed primary. Hopefully that changes. Maybe, hopefully that changes. If we have the power to change this by having the libertarians come out and vote in the primaries as actual educated voters because they are more educated than your common voter, we would not be in this crisis that we're in right now.
True story. True story.
Apparently Trump is buying Greenland. I didn't know that.
Apparently what?
Simon said that Trump is going to buy Greenland, so that's why we're going there.
It still gets a little cold up there.
Warren said most of the libertarians that he knows will vote in the primaries. They won't vote for the lesser of two evils. And to that extent, there are some, but there are still not enough. And we need them to sink into their libertarian brothers and sisters and say, please vote in the primaries. Because our primary is so undervoted.
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with Warren right there. Here's what I'm agreeing with. Voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil. That's why we got to put up, even if we can't get him elected. Look at Mark Gullaby. I didn't have to waste a vote because Mark Gullaby was the most Republican person on the general ballot in 2022.
Well, and that's exactly it. See, but there's such a narrative out there, and that's where we're losing to a narrative, and that's why, you know, Walter and I and John and Rachel and so many of us have said we've got to break this narrative. We cannot continue to allow this narrative to be what it is, and that's why when they came down here, when I brought when DC came down here knocking on our door, I said, I'm not going to go with what you want me to say because that's not what the issues are. And they didn't like that. They wanted me to just stand there and be like, so as you can see, we have a wall. And I mean, that was just, it was stupid. It was absolutely dumb because that's not what, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this wall. Let's talk about the lack of wall. Let's talk about the gap in the wall. Let's talk about the lack of the wall between here and El Paso. Like, let's have those conversations. But they don't want to have those conversations. But I really feel like the libertarian spirit is very much the grassroots Republican spirit. We just need to band together. And that's how we could take back the GOP.
The greater
Danny
party.
What?
The guardians of patriotism.
Oh, God.
Hello. Oops. There I am swerving in the number 1 lane with the sheriff's department right behind me. Woo! Hey, read that to me. I can't read it.
Well, quit talking so I can. Danny Mayer says, treason, sedition, and many other crimes committed by our top government officials in this state. Broken oath crimes against we the people. The government is corrupt and all systems are failing our country. Only arrest of these criminals and their minions will truly set us straight. It's time God, family, and country folks apply the full force of the founding documents, true American actions. He also says mass arrests of politicians who are guilty in public records, high crimes against us have broken their oath. Oh, I see. It was one. Okay, I apologize. It's America. They vote to bring. They aren't bringing in illegals to vote. Wake up. They've got. This is from Nora McCain. Illegals are our replacement. This is why they aren't mandated to take a vax. Not to mention that they are collapsing the fiat currency to bring in digital currency that will enslave each and every single one of us educated voters. I'm trying to get, like, man, there is some good comments here. Holy shamolians.
Yep. Rock and roll, sister.
Warren said it's hard to have a discussion via trying to limit it to short statements. We very much agree. I just don't have time to write a novel in the comments. Double high five, Warren. No, I know that you and I usually do completely agree. We just have to. It creates good stuff. It creates good stuff.
Hey, folks. Hey, while we have comments flying, don't forget, send stars, and what all those other guys say on, you know, whatever, drop a link, give, send, go, blah, 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 all that good kind of stuff. But have a fun debate. On this channel right here, we could physically have a lot of people on, and we could have one mass debate. That would be the best thing ever.
Yes. Our dear friend Justin is even in the comments. I mean, we're having some good stuff. He says the way we need to educate the voters about the appropriate way to deal with traitors. Completely agree with that. Simon said the sad thing is some of these voters are educated. They just want to be taken care of. That is an actual pandemic that is sweeping our country like you cannot imagine, folks. Like the number of people who truly feel like the government should still be taking, they know that that's the problem. They know that a lot of these issues could like this. This is where I'm going to have to give Walter his due, and he's going to love every second of it. But you have people who are firmly committed to milking the system, whether it's Medicare or Medicaid, whether it's disability claims, regardless of what it is, that it makes people who truly need the benefits not want to get the benefits because they feel like they could still, that they can and they are still out there making a difference and working and creating their own income. But the government is insistent on being their baby daddy. Thank you for that, Simon. And so they're like, well, you know what? I know that this is the problem, but it's free money. It's literally just sitting there. And if I don't take it, who's going to? So I should definitely take that money. We've got that. We have to break that mentality that was never in this country until the beginning of these welfare programs that was brought in right after World War II. We've talked about this for years, that after World War II is when this mentality came into the United States, and it was to make it so that the government could be the baby daddy. Everyone likes free money. You're right, Josh Jaros. Who doesn't like free money?
Who's
How many of you? Huh?
Whose birthday last week?
Your sons?
LBJ.
Oh. I'm sorry.
The daddy of poverty. I did the Great Commission. Bam.
Sorry.
Sometimes, Sandra, you just need to be like an owl. Be smart, be awake, and just say who.
You get mad when I don't have the right answer. Sorry. As Americans just suck.
It's literally a question. And you
Josh brings up
LBJ's birth. How old was LBJ when he died?
Just give it to us. Who?
64. He didn't even make it to Social Security age.
Well, that's awkward for everyone. I'm going to keep my comment in my pocket. Well, in fairness, he didn't pay into it. Josh brings up a question. He says
he didn't even collect on his bounty after killing Kennedy. Bam.
He said everyone likes free money. Show of hands. How many people would, if you saw like a Loomis truck? I said hands, Walter. If you saw a Loomis truck or one of the armored security vehicles, they something happens and money just comes flying out of the back of the vehicle, right? You see these stories happen every once in a while, and everyone gets the money. They jump out of their cars, they scoop up as much money as they can, and they run away. But the thing is like there's cameras all over these cars, so it's not. I mean, like people, you're gonna get caught. Okay, you're gonna get caught. But the number of people that do that kind of stuff is it's sad. And so when people do find $2,000 on the side of the road, and they turn it in, and you know, people are shocked when they're like, I would never do that. I'd keep that money. I remember. I'm going to tell on myself just a little bit. I was in McAllen, February of 2020, was it, Walter, that I ran over that car's bumper?
You ran over what?
Remember, I hit that car in the parking lot of the mall?
Oh yeah, the Chinese people.
The Chinese people. And it was totally, it was an innocent accident. It wasn't anything. I sat in that parking lot for almost 2 hours waiting for the people to come out. I called the cops, the whole shebang. The number of people that came up to me and said, you should have just ran, I would have, was unbelievable.
Hey, and what happened with all that?
The insurance ended up taking care of it. I didn't have to pay anything. My insurance didn't go up. It was totally a minor incident. The hardest part was that we were having to use Google Translate. The cops and I were having to use Google Translate to speak to the people. They were on vacation or something.
Sandra, I saw the pictures. You ripped the front end off of that car and nobody had to pay for it. That should tell you, all the people coming up say you should have ran. You stayed and played. And you still didn't have to pay.
Well, I mean, first of all, it wasn't. If somebody, what kind of crap person are you?
Hey, it was Chinese cartel members. They had all the money in the world because they probably had fentanyl in their back bumper.
No doubt, especially with California tax.
Exactly.
Just saying. But I mean that I brought up that story though to tell you, like, people will do anything to not have to do their part. I was the bad guy in that situation. My tire got way too close to that car, and I literally played monster jams with it. So I had to do the right thing. And I mean, even the cop was like, wow, I can't believe you waited 2 hours.
Hey, whose car were you in?
Yours.
With the 35-inch tires, right? That's why I tell people, drive above the traffic.
You know what? It was an Audi, and I had always wanted an Audi until that moment. And now I'm like, you know what? No. No.
And the only thing that touched him was your rubber. That's it. The rubber tires peeled that puppy apart.
It did. Like, and honestly, like, I didn't even realize, it wasn't until I heard a drag when I was coming out of this, that I heard their bumper dragging.
She was like, wow, that's a weird feeling, speed bump.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. Free money. Like, that's like when that's like a child's ideology. Like when I was 5 years old and didn't have money, I thought you could just write a check. The number of times my kids are like, hey, look, you have cards. Like, just use one of these. That's exactly right.
Woo! Sorry, I'm I love doing the speed demon through downtown Houston. We call this #winning.
We should always do the right thing, even when nobody's watching. I told people, like this one lady, she came and she talked to me for a little while, and it was kind of funny because she, you could tell she was not originally from McAllen. I'll just say it like that. And she was just like, she's like, I just can't believe that you're sticking around. Like, I would have done left and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, let me just break it to you really simple. I said, number one, that's just not who I am as a person. I said, number two, my husband's a federal law enforcement officer. Like, that is an absolutely no-no. And number three, I'm running for office. If you don't think for 1 second that would get used against me, you have lost your mind. I'm going to do the right thing because number one, it's the right thing to do. And did you see the other 3 reasons on why this would be catastrophic for me?
Prove this out, Sandra. You did it because you didn't want to be a George Santos. Ah!
And not just the drag queen part.
They call that drag queen truck, monster truck parking lot derby.
Ross, I want to talk to you. So Ross has been putting comments in here about the We Build the Wall situation and Steve Bannon. I can't stand Steve Bannon. I don't watch his show. I think that he's a fraud. I think he's an awful human being. I do not like him. He may have people that come on his show and put out some facts. He has a lot of people on his show that I wouldn't pay a nickel to listen to speak to, let alone the astronomical amount of money that some of these grifters use to come on his show. I know people who were involved with the We Build the Wall charity that were good people who were like, you know what, something's not right here. They smelled that it wasn't right and they got out of it. I think that Steve Bannon is the biggest fraud in the grassroots movement, and I think he's just a grifter who wants lots of money. I have no respect for Steve Bannon. I really do not. That's my personal opinion, but I have no use for him at all.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Sandra.
Y'all know I will. Whew, honey child.
There goes your next congressional run. I guess they're going to get Cassie, or who knows? Maybe they might get One-Eyed Willie. You never know.
Texas is my home state. I'm in the human trafficking.
Yeah.
So, well, I think you need to connect off the air with Danny Meyer. He said, Texas is my home state. I'm in the human trafficking # deep state New Mexico.
Who?
Danny Meyer Jr.
Hey. TexasFullyLoaded.com. You know where to go. Sandra's got an email.
So does Walter.
Walter at TexasFullyLoaded.com. Oh, crap. Here it comes. Now I'm going to get more than my Nigerian cousin trying to send me money.
What? That white... Hold on. This is not from Danny. Who is this? Yano Cho. That white punk is the problem in America. You think if you are white, you're right. Guy, you're talking who... You ask for advice. Well, Yahon Chow, thanks for that intelligible comments. I think that I hope that we're both talking about how much we don't like Steve Bannon. So I'm just going to pretend that's what you're saying. Anywho, so what was that? I have no idea. You know it's bad if I can't figure it out. One of the other things that we wanted to talk about today was what happened out in, we talked about Atlanta. So, as you guys may have heard or not, yesterday there was a shooting in Monterey Park, California, where at the minimum 10 people were killed. He is the racist guy you are talking to. Who's the racist guy? Is Walter the racist guy?
Well, that's funny.
This will be fun. Oh, I think it's another one of your oh man. You know what? Yang whatever Chow. I'm not even going to waste any time on you because there are plenty of people in this feed that will set you straight. So congratulations. Merry Christmas. Monterey Park left at least 10 people dead, at least 10 more injured when they were celebrating the Lunar New Year. Now, what the sad thing about this is this is actually, it looks like the shooter was targeting his ex-wife, and it just went crazy from there. Now, here's where it gets really fun, is that because we have so many of our amazing Democrat representatives who just love to, they're just so informed and so educated. Chuck Schumer came on and said we have to stand up to the bigotry and hate wherever they rear their ugly heads. We must keep working to stop gun violence. Adam Schiff came back and said it's a horrific example of needless gun violence with bigotry towards the Asian American Pacific Islanders. This is a possible motive. The Stop Asian Hate was a huge tweet, all started by the Democrats. Now, the fun part, as I mentioned, it appears that it was an Asian man who was going after his Asian ex-wife, and it was a domestic dispute issue because there was a history of domestic violence in this relationship. So who exactly was the Stop Asian Hate directed at? Chuck Schumer and Adam Schiff? Oh, wow. This young child is coming after you hard, Walter.
What's that?
This guy, Yono Chow, he's calling you fat scum. I don't know who the hell this guy is, but you better hop up off it. He called you fat scum now.
He's calling me what? He's calling me what?
Fat scum.
Yeah, well, he's ugly and I can lose weight.
That seems legitimate. Justin told you to get him, Walter. We're all waiting. Clearly, this guy is, you know what? He's probably one of you know what? It could be. Never mind. I'm not going to fling mud. This guy's apparently uneducated and has no idea what the hell he's talking about. So, enjoy yourself. You must live a very lonely life. Anyway, so back onto the Monterey shootings. You know, anytime there's a loss of life situation, it's a sad situation. My favorite, though, is that the Democrats immediately came on assuming that it was a white person who just came in shooting Asian people.
Hey, what time you got, Sandra?
It is 11:21.
Yes!
You're going to be on time. I'm proud of you.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough.
Oh, or are you getting into the belly of the beast where you're going to run into traffic? Anywho, so I that idiot. Okay. Oh, here was my favorite one. Wisconsin State Representative Francesca Hong came and shared her condolences with victims, tweeting, "We're broken as a nation to have mass shootings and white supremacy region terror." This happened in Southern California.
Wait a second. Was this Chinese guy a white supremacist too?
Maybe he identified as a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Maybe that hasn't come out yet. Anyway.
So if you're going to invoke racism, then the first thing you have to admit is that you're a racist.
Well, what's that? You know, I hate Michael Jackson, but what's that song, Man in a Mirror?
that's
Before we started playing the racism card.
That's my favorite song for the Me Award.
I know, which I told you there was. I still think it should have been You're So Vain.
Yeah, well, You're Such a Moron is more like it.
Well, that's always an option.
People are stupid, and that's why they use all those words, and they try to create all those hashtags and buzzes. That's why I got hashtag W for the Walt, W for Whitney. Is this that moron?
No. This is Ross Hudson. He said, so why is Steve Bannon have that guy on a boat who looks like he is Chinese? Has he been compromised also? What are your thoughts? Do you think he has been also? Have we been played? Yes.
Well, and you know, that's actually a hard place to be, because where the wall was actually built, you know, I almost got arrested by the Mexican authorities for accidentally walking into Mexico when there was no wall right there. People think there's a river all along the border in Texas, and that's not the case. You actually have to cross the river and to go to where the wall is, and you're physically on land, and you're still in Texas. So, you know, that guy donated his land. He led a pretty valiant fight. They put up the wall there, and then they essentially parked the wall gate open. So now we have a wall, but we also have gates, and they leave the gates open. I don't know why you would do that, but they have done that. The Great Wall of China does not, and yes, I'm saying China, so don't call me a racist, but China doesn't have any gates in their wall that go into that allow other countries to come in. You have to go over the wall or through the port of entry, and it is called a port of entry for a reason, whether it be a port on dry land or a port on a river.
Sorry, I'm being a sleuth right this second.
Is that my new friend Joe, my new detractor?
Yeah.
Hey, you might as well just call me Jen Lowe at this point.
No, they have a whopping 142 friends. They don't have any information about them. They have a blurry picture of a bicycle in a dirty apartment. It just, they look like a real friend.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Walter.
What's that? That's one of those fake IDs. You know, who knows? It's probably someone that got their GED in the 8th grade.
Now, I will give this guy A+. He's only got one video on his whole Facebook page, and it's a video of somebody giving a squirrel a nut. And you know how I feel about little squirrels. So they're little friends.
What?
He's giving a squirrel a nut. A tattooed hand. I'll go and investigate those tattoos later, because you know how I always like to find out how they're connected with certain things. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Is there any chance it's a blind squirrel that Beto rescued?
Say that again.
Warren P said, any chance it's a blind squirrel Beto rescued? It's possible. It is possible. You know what, Rachel? You're right. We did find our common ground. And you know me, I'm constantly on the look for how we can find something that we have in common, and then we can grow. We both love squirrels.
Meow.
I don't have any tattoos on my hand, but Charlotte loves to draw on my hand with markers, so maybe. That's all I got.
Wait, this would.
It's a literal squirrel moment.
This wouldn't be Joe. This wouldn't be one of Joe Biden's accounts or even Hunter Biden's accounts, is it? This guy's not in his underwear smoking a crack pipe, is he?
No, he's wearing a jacket with tattoos covering his hand, and he's feeding a squirrel a nut. And the squirrel runs away after he takes the nut. Danny said to protect my temple.
All right.
I'm good now. I'm good. I promise. You know what? We should have a commercial. We haven't had one of those in a minute. We're going to be right back. I have to align my chi and protect my temple. We'll be right back. back. And a huge thank you to our amazing sponsors like the Montgomery County Tea Party, who's reminding us to align our cheese. Thank you, Miss Patty. I was going to be working on a cheese tray later. Just kidding.
You know, I'm neutral when it comes to that. Swiss is my favorite cheese.
That's true. That is true. Swiss is your favorite cheese. Also, our amazing sponsor, Justin. We love you.
Okay.
How come you were on the show today?
Learn how to drive.
If you're interested in sponsoring apparently the most bigoted show on Texas on TECN.TV, please go to TexasFullyLoaded.com. We appreciate your support and your negative comments, because you know what? That just shows that we're making a difference, because if not, you wouldn't be here. We love you.
Oops. I just cut off the Bud Light guy.
Oh, man. Well, it's just Bud Light. Nobody likes Bud Light.
Left on green arrow only.
We prefer Texas brewed beers like 5x5 Brewery.
Hey, is there a oops?
This one was for you, George Rice.
Woo! Low to the ground.
Simon said, "Don't make him use his insurance agent voice." I think that was directed at you. And Warren, you're right. This is why I'll never be on Fox News. I guess this is probably why I won't be a fake consultant for TPPF either.
Oh man.
Darn. You know what? I've been to one TPPF event, and you know what happened when I left that event?
What?
I shook the system, and I ended up getting a lot of support from it.
Yeah.
Because they tried to make it the Henry Cuellar is My God song and dance from TPPF, the not politically leaning Republican group that is supposed to be politically leaning Republican. And they went up there, and it was several people, but Peter Flores was one of them. Someone who's now become a dear friend, Jerry Schwebel was on there, and then another guy who has the radio. What's the guy in South Texas? The voice of conservatism. You know his name. I've been on his show a couple of times.
Who?
Starts with an S. Anyway, him and like one other, they were all on this forum, and it literally, they knew I was there, and it turned into the We Love Henry Cuellar song and dance. And I got up and I challenged the whole freaking thing. I said, how dare any of you sit there and say that things are great under Henry Cuellar? Look at our roads in Laredo. Look at this. Look at that. And I mean, I freaking like, one of my favorite things, and I know that the Kingwood Tea Party is not always loved around here, but one of the things, and this was one of my favorite descriptions of something I've ever done, was actually from Jim. He and his wife Robin run the Kingwood Tea Party. He said you could have heard a pin drop after Sandra let them have it. And then the whole place erupted. And the one person that everyone wasn't really sure how it was going to respond actually ended up becoming a huge champion for me. And he still is. And he's somebody I consider a dear friend. And it seems like I earn the most respect when I make people eat their own words. So I love doing that.
Who is this now?
It was from the TPPF event when I met Jerry Schwebel for the first time formally.
Yeah, no, what a great guy. And what an American, what a Texan, veteran, blah blah blah, all the subcategories you could put him in. What a great guy.
Well, it looks like you're at your final destination. Do you have to let us go?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm hanging out in front of Dick's, so that's the sporting good place. In case
never forget.
In case they try to throw me in with the drag queen stuff. Not like that. I know which angle my dangle hangs.
Our favorite Dick's moment was when we were talking about how Dick's was supporting women who wanted to get abortions, and they couldn't do them in states like Texas anymore, so they were going to pay up to $4,000 for them to go out of state to get an abortion elsewhere. And I made the faux pas. This was like one of our first faux pas here on Texas Fully Loaded. And I think my headphones just died, so we might be switching the speakers. And I made this. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I can hear you over here now. I made the statement, we have to watch what Dick's is doing to pregnant women. And that's the moment that Ken was like, y'all can do whatever you want to on this show.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Joe.
By Walter. Danny, how do you want me to vet you? Once the people have our power back, maybe then. Something big is coming. All right, Danny. You want me to vet you? Okay. Well, I would also like to know. So we'll talk off the air. How does that sound? Separation of church and state was an attack. An attack on what exactly? If you okay, so Ross has been putting in the comments, I believe he's on the Center for Texas page, I think is where I saw him. He's been putting up stuff about, different things that's happening, some of more of the deep state conspiracies and stuff, not necessarily anything that I don't disagree with, although I haven't looked at everything that you've put up. But this one, it says, do you support separation of church and state? And how did this happen in our Congress? The transcript of Pope Francis' speech to Congress. It looks like that was in 2015. And then Danny says separation of church and state was an attack. Our fabric and I assume on our fabric and foundation. Here's the deal: is that the separation of church and state, if you know the founding fathers, if you even look back and you look at what Thomas Jefferson wrote to the First Baptist Church on Danbury Street, you see what the purpose of the separation of church and state was for. It was to literally stop the government from being able to rule the people through the church, and vice versa, allowing the church to rule the government. Because what happened is that they saw what was happening in Rome. They saw how what was happening in England. They saw what was happening all over the world with the church as the superpower. They weren't saying that they were removing God from government. They were saying or removing government from God. What they were saying is that you cannot. So here's some of the things that were happening, right? For example, in the early founding of our country, you could not vote unless you were a landowner and you were a member of the church, which meant that you had to. And their view on membership of the church is far different than what we view it as now. So you had to make sure that you were tithing your X amount. You had to make sure that you were involved in doing X, Y, and Z. Like there was all of these rules that made you considered a member of the church. And so they said, this isn't how this is supposed to be. We're supposed to be different than everybody else. So we can't say we're leaving England because we disagree with what England's doing. And we see what's happening with the Church of England, and they are using the church, and they're saying, look, if you don't agree with what the government's doing here, God may not be okay with you. And you may not make it into heaven if you don't agree with what the government's doing. We saw that all over throughout history, right? We saw it happen in Rome. We saw it happen in Greece. We saw it happening all over. And so they said, look, this isn't the way that this is supposed to be. We can't allow the government to get in bed with the bishops and with the hierarchy of the church to come up with a scheme to have this play out in our government and in our world. Like that was the purpose of the separation of church and state. One of my favorite examples to show how it kind of worked is if you go back and you watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or you go back and watch the Three Musketeers or stuff, you see that marriage of corrupt government and corrupt hierarchy in church. And you see where the founding fathers also saw that, and they said, see, this is what we don't want to happen, because this isn't going to work out. All of the members, not all, the vast majority of the signers of the Constitution, the vast majority of the people who were the founding fathers, all were 100% God-fearing, loving, worshiping men. We know that because of the things that they wrote. We know that because of the things that they said. We know that because of how they inspired their other men. It was 100% to keep the people who do evil things separate. That's what it was for. It was never to remove God from government. It was never to remove government from God, because government is founded by God. Okay, that is plain and simple. Scripture talks about it over and over and over again, that there is nobody in power that God did not set aside for that moment. Good, bad, or indifferent. And sometimes bad people get put in places because good people, A, didn't step up, or B, were not listening to God. It happens. It happens. So that's my 2 cents on that. I could find the paper that I wrote on it. It was fantastic. I got a standing ovation from my professor. But I mean, that's, I hate it when people try to take that conversation and the argument or that whatever and just do what they want to with it and say, this is why God should be in politics. Or the reverse side, when you have churches that pop up and say, oh, see, separation of church and state, so that means that we can't be involved in what's happening here. No. Also, fun fact, the Bible's not specific on whether it should be an elected government or whether it should be a monarchy or whether it should be by the people. None of that is specific in it either. So there's that. Because I mean, if you look back at the Book of Kings, both books of Kings, look back at the history in our Bible. It even talks about people who loved God, who were seated, and then they turned away and they said, you know what? I'm enjoying all this power. Thanks, big guy, for it, and now I'm just going to do my own thing. And what happened to them? They went crazy, and then they lost at the end. It happens. It happens, which is also why term limits is the thing, why I'm against a monarchy, because you don't have term limits with a monarchy, which is why we should have term limits in our in our Congress and in our Senate. Boom. Nora is spot on. This is an argument that I have. I have a very dear pastor friend down here in Laredo. He's a world traveler. I love this man and his family to death. They are amazing people. They are not a 501c3. They filed everything as a business, and they said, you know what? Because we will never run the risk of the government being able to come in and tell me how I have to preach my sermons. So crap on that. Do what you want. Because we see so often. I remember this was years and years and years ago when we still lived in Virginia. Things were really hard. Things were really tight. We were having a hard time making ends meet. We were $50 short of qualifying for any kind of assistance from the state. So they said that the welfare workers said to me, why don't you quit your job? You don't even have to quit both of them. Just quit one of them, and the benefits will far outweigh what you're making at your job. This is what the system was telling me. This was 15. Also be 15. This is almost 16 years ago. But the story hasn't changed. They still do this. They said just quit your job, or if you don't want to quit your job, because I get it, you're a strong, independent woman, just get a divorce on paper. And then you'll get even more benefits. And then your husband can still live at the house. Like everything can be normal. You just on paper, you have a divorce, you see? And the state will step in and you'll get more benefits than you know what to do with. Talk about creating a dependency state. So of course, this was almost 16 years ago. I'll let you guess what I said to them almost 16 years ago. Now I'm far more in the know about all of this stuff. But I just said, literally, that's not what you were created for. I'm not looking for a long-term handout. I'm looking for a short-term. I'm working 3 jobs. My husband's working 16 hours a day, and we can't make ends meet. We just need a little bit of assistance for a second. And anyway, so then that played out. So I said, you know what? Where are we supposed to go to? Our church. I should have started there. That's where I should have started. Don't you know I had to fill out the exact same information? Now, the church didn't deny me, assistance at all. We were able to pay our bills, but we just couldn't get food on the table. Like we were just short for groceries every month. So thank God I had amazing people in our lives. My granddad was a huge, huge, huge supporter of helping us. And my family back in Virginia was amazing. But the church now had to file paperwork with the state because they also get the exact same stuff that you would get if you went to a food pantry or anywhere else. This is where I find my soapbox moment, because never one time anywhere in scripture, does it say go to your local form of government to get assistance if you need help. It literally charges the church with taking care of those who are in need. That's a soapbox moment. I'm trying. Y'all are giving it to me, and you're making it hard for me to stop. This was not on the agenda. You know what? This is where Waldron and fight. So he sent me a whole list of things for us to talk about today. I mean, it was like this deep, right? I think we've talked about 3 of them, sort of. Do you know why? Because this show is the people show. This is we the people work. This is why I always talk about this stuff, because it has to be talked about and nobody else is talking about it. I could sit here and I could talk to you more about the Monterey shooting. I could talk to you more about the Stop Cop City. I could talk more to you about, hold on. I'll give you some of this list. The fair tax vote. That's super important. You can go everywhere else and talk about all of this stuff. We can talk about the community movement builders. We can talk about all of this kind of stuff. But everyone's talking about that stuff. They are. This is the kind of stuff. These are the conversations that separate us, right? These are the things that say, you know what? Maybe I have this concept wrong. We have to have a fundamental truth before we can go and be like, you know what? This is what I think. That's not how this works, right? Because opinions are like buttholes. Everyone's got one. They do. We are. That's the way it is. But we have to have a baseline. We have to have okay, this is where we all can come together. This is why I think what I think and how I think it, and yada, yada, yada. When we can do those things, then we can kind of move forward. And that's why, this is why I'm a walking confliction, because this is why it is important for us to have the Republican Party platforms and values and all that bull honky. But if we're the only ones that are sticking to it, and those that are in the elected offices they couldn't even spell it. They don't even know how many plankton platforms we have or have ever had. They shouldn't be in office because they don't speak for us. Now, I hear you. Not everybody can devote 20 hours a month to the Republican Party. I'm not asking you to devote 20 hours a week to the Republican Party. What I'm asking you to do is devote, a month. I'm not even asking a week. I'm not even, you know what? 4 weeks in a month, 4 hours a month. That's it. I just need you to devote 4 hours a month to deciding what is important to you and what it's worth your vote. That's it. I'm not asking you to vote Republican. I'm not asking you to vote Democrat. I'm not asking you to vote Libertarian. I'm not asking you to vote any other way. I want you to devote 4 hours a month to getting your political ideology. We talk about voting your values. When you vote for the lesser of 2 evils, you're not voting your values. When I tell you that the primary is the most important vote, that's where you vote your values. That's why. Because if you're just going to throw away your vote in November to, well, whoever wins the Republican, blah, 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 you've already lost. That's why we're losing our country. Those kids that you know, and when I say kids, I mean people my age. Too funny, Sandra B. Holes. This is what I do. If we just reach out to those people who say, you know what, my vote doesn't matter. I know that you feel that way, because trust me, as somebody who is literally in the middle of it all, I also feel that way sometimes, maybe more than sometimes. But if we just do this on a whim, if we just, our country, our documents, our everything was not just done on a whim. And those who are seeking to destroy it, they're not doing that on a whim either. You're right. There's a lot of really crappy Republicans. I mean, there's a crap ton of them. We've talked about them on the show just today. And they keep taking our what we, the people, are trying to do for the right reasons. And they're just like, you know what? We're going to turn this into a franchise. We're going to make a lot of money off of this. And we're just going to keep fake narratives going. We're going to keep propaganda going. We're going to keep putting up people who literally are aligned with our values of just making money and crapping all over we the people. That's what we're going to do. We're allowing them to also win. It's perverse. It's disgusting. And that's why we're losing our state. That's why we're losing our country, because we feel like we don't have a hope. We feel like we just have to keep voting for these jackwagons or not vote at all, because you know what? My voice isn't getting heard anyway. Nobody on that ballot aligns with anything. Really? Nobody on that ballot aligns with you? Not even a little bit. I tell people all the time, I promise you, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I know, trust me, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But if we have 10 things, let's just say we have 10 things that we're going to talk about, and you agree with me on 8 of those things, we're winning. If you agree with me on 5 of those things, we're still winning, right? And we can figure out what it is with these other 5 that we need to work on, whether I need to change my stance or whether you need to change your stance, or maybe both. Who knows? Maybe we just need to throw the baby out with the bathwater on these 5. But if we don't start having these conversations with the rest of America to get them thinking the same way, I don't know what to do with my hands, Rachel. If we don't stop right now, we are a year and 2 months here in Texas away from primary. A year and 1 month away from the early vote for primary. We have 1 year to convince the rest of Texas that the primary vote is far more important than the November election. And if you're still sitting there saying, well, I know lots of people who didn't get out and vote, or maybe I didn't get out and vote because I didn't feel like they were, I didn't think my voice was going to get heard. You have a problem. Or you know who the problem is. And now, number 1, we need to pray for that problem because we need them voting. And number 2, we need to find out why they feel so hopeless so that we can fix it. I'm a lot of things, but I try to fix. I hate seeing people like. I got my duct tape all the time. Okay. We have to fix this, or we're not going to save our country. We have to fix this, or we're not going to save our Texas. Find that person who's not a registered voter. Find that person who is a registered voter and has not voted. Be like, look, some of you people will sit down and talk to them about one of these daggum Ponzi schemes like freaking Scentsy or Tupperware or whatever. We've all done it, okay? We've all done it. I've done them all, okay? Done them all. Except for Scentsy. I didn't do that. We'll sit down and talk to somebody about, hey, let's find a great way to make money. I know we haven't spoken in 20 years, but we can make money together. How about this? I know we haven't spoken in 20 years, but I saw your post on Facebook about why you didn't vote. I'm not here to talk to you about being a Republican. I'm not here to talk to you about being a Democrat. And this has to be sincere. I'm here to talk to you about, do we truly believe in we the people? Because you can't say I do, but. Because as my dad used to always say when I was a teenager, it used to drive me crazy. The second you say the word but, you erase everything you just said before it. I love the Constitution, but I'm not going to go vote. Okay, so you don't love the Constitution. You don't believe in America at all. Like not even a little bit. Because when you don't go and vote, you don't believe in America. Period. We have 1 year. 1 year to get people registered to vote and to prove to them that the primary is the most important vote in the country. 1 year. That is your hashtag We the People Work movement for this this year. Get people registered to vote. Teach them why it's important to vote. We don't have time to hope that something's going to change. We have to be the ones to do it. I encourage every single, look, I'm not asking you to like stand at a event for a whole hot summer afternoon with a clipboard registering people to vote, although I need those people too. We all need those people. Every single county in Texas, every single county in the United States needs those people. They're in very short supply. But you can take 15 minutes out of your day, one day, Monday through Friday, maybe do it on your lunch break. Go to your county's registrar and say, hey, I want to become a registrar. Deputize me, do what I need to do. It's like literally one of the most super processes ever. If you can drive a car, you can become a deputy registrar. It's literally that easy, okay? Literally that easy. Then you're going to get, I don't have any with me right this second. They're in my box. You're going to get these little cards. You're going to get like this little thing that says, I'm a deputy registrar for Webb County. I'm a deputy registrar for Montgomery County, blah, blah, blah county, okay? That's what you're going to get. And you have to have it with you when you're registering people to vote. And you're going to get this little certificate. You're going to explain to them what this means. I'm not registered because in Texas, we don't have, it's still open primary. So you're not registering anybody as a Republican. You're not registering anybody as a Democrat. You are registering them as a Texan to have a voice in what Texas is doing. That's what you're registering them to do. Okay, that's it. That's what you have to do. You can have some of them on your coffee table when your girlfriends come over for wine night. I know that that's still a thing. People have friends and they just do that stuff. I used to do that stuff all the time when I had time and friends. Now I don't have either. Just kidding. I got lots of friends, but now I don't have time to sit down and just have a glass of wine anymore and talk about the kids. But I know some, or you dudes, when you do your dude stuff, you can do it. I have faith in you guys. This is how we change our Texas. This is how we get rid of the people who are destroying our country and our state, by doing your part. We are officially at, yes, Simon dude stuff, like when you, like when you have like cigar night or poker night or whatever. When they come in for poker night, be like, look, we're not having political conversations. I'm not trying to like be a Debbie Downer here. I said, yeah, I know, but Miss Patty, how often do we get to just sit around and drink wine and talk about the kids? We don't have those nights. Those nights are not in my vocabulary anymore, but other people get to do those things. Poker night, register your friends to vote. Be like, guys, I know we don't talk about this crap here. I'm not here to have a conversation with you. I'm just saying, hey, if you're not registered to vote, fill out this form and I'll make it happen for you. That's the end of the conversation. That's it. That's all you gotta do. That's it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And just like that, we save our Texas. We save our country. And then you talk to him more about it. Okay. I have to go because we have Randy Purnham's show is on next and you don't want to miss it. So don't go anywhere. But I do have to end so that he can come on. Where one ends, the other begins. We'll see you guys tomorrow with John and Walt. And God only knows what other fun surprises we're going to have in store. It'll be a surprise to all of us, I'm certain. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.